Today on Bookmas, I have Freshly Brewed Coaching by Wayne Pratt and Matt Hawksley. This one comes with a very inviting promise. Transformation does not have to happen in a boardroom or at a leadership retreat or after someone gives you a fancy title. Sometimes it starts with a real conversation, a good question, and maybe, and of course, a decent cup of coffee. So, this book, you guys, it takes coaching out of the executive suite and it brings it back to everyday life. So, through stories of regular people facing self-doubt, career change, and personal roadblocks, Wayne and Matt show us that growth is not reserved for a few chosen people. It's available to the shop manager, to the business owner, to the barista at the coffee shop, to tradespeople, to the person sitting there thinking, okay, I know something has to change, but where do I even begin? So today I'm speaking to Wayne about his book, the coaching model behind it, and why one decision can be the beginning of a completely different life. So, Wayne, author of this book, welcome to Bookmas. I'm so happy to have you here.
It's a treat to be here, Summer.
Today we are talking about your book, Wayne, Freshly Brewed Coaching, which makes personal growth feel less like a corporate training manual and more like a conversation across a coffee table. And I have to say, I love that because sometimes the best breakthrough, I think, arrives with coffee. And honestly, someone finally asking you the questions that you have been avoiding. So I'm curious about the heart behind this book, Wayne, because you make coaching feel very accessible. I love that. It does not feel like something that only the CEOs or executives or people behind big teams should be having access. So why, Wayne? Why did Matt and you write Freshly Brewed Coaching? And who should read it? Also, when you picture the person who really needs to read this book, who do they look like?
We'll have an origin story. Woo!
Yes.
I was doing podcasts with a colleague named Bernie, and I had done 300 podcasts from people all over the world, from Nepal and Switzerland and the Americas and Toronto. And all of a sudden, this Matt Hawksley appeared. And in the
Mhm.
interview, it became clear that he was in Kingston, my hometown. And I
Oh,
said, I have to meet him. So we met. And he was getting his windshield replaced of all things. So I actually took him hostage and we sat at McDonald's while his windshield was being replaced. And I told him my favorite hobby horse, that in
okay.
my becoming a life coach and 10 years of life coaching and 300 podcasts, it always seemed to be only the C-suite knew what I was talking about. The
Mm.
COO knew, the CFO knew, the
Hmm.
CEO knew. They all knew about coaching. But if you
Hmm.
asked the guy at the hardware store, he thought it was
Mm.
helping his grade 9 kid be better at soccer. So
Yes.
I, so I knew he had a problem. And I made one of my rants that, man, I'd like to talk to somebody in a coffee shop.
Mm.
And Matt, in his wisdom, created what we found out after what was called a business fable. And a business
Okay.
fable is a story that uses people to tell your points. So it's not
Mm.
just another didactic, dry self help manual.
Hmm.
So we imagined two protagonists, Wayne and Matt, actually meeting in a coffee shop and deciding to coach or to practice our material to take to
Hmm.
the big city, which is
Hmm.
never mentioned. It was Toronto. But we,
Oh,
but we have this conversation in a coffee shop, and we decide we wanted an audience because you
mm.
can't tell how your material goes if it's not in front of an audience. So
Right.
we invited mythical people to meet for this coaching session, and we invented a tailor and
Hmm.
an electrician
Mm.
and a barista and
Hmm.
a shop owner and a
Hmm.
bank manager, and we had them take the courses, and then we dealt with what they were thinking as they took the courses. So that's where Freshly Brewed Coaching came from.
Beautiful. I only thought, well, all I knew about the story was you met Matt and decided you do the same things, so let's write a book. But there was so much depth to that story.
Well, the other thing is I love asking. If you know
Mm.
me, I love to ask, ask, ask.
I
And
know
I've been
you. That's
asking
right.
people, is this important to you? Is this important to you? Is this
Yeah.
important to you? And
Good.
nobody was actually ever bit down. And then Matt said, yeah, that's important to me. And then my
Mm,
next ask was, do you want to write a book? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to write a book? So we gave up 15 Wednesdays to write a book. It was like
mm.
Tuesdays with Maury. That was our time together.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
And I was so happy reading this book. It is an easy read.
It
One thing
is.
I noticed in this book is you make transformation sound so practical. You broke
So,
it down into three steps: diagnose, prescribe, and thrive. And I want to
yes,
talk about that first step basically because that is where a lot of people are messing it up. That's in my opinion. We are
yep,
very quick to prescribe. We are very quick to say, I need a new job or I need a new business strategy. I need to be more disciplined. I need to burn everything down and move to Bali. Oh my, sometimes we do jump right into dramatic solutions, don't we?
we do.
So in this book, Wayne, you break transformation down into three different steps. And why do people go wrong in the very first step?
Well, the neat thing is, much of this book was picking myself off the ground of tripping and falling on my own. So I had
Okay.
been on enough $1,000 courses with beautiful fake leather binders with great notes and trust falls and
Mm,
CDs.
mm,
And then a month later, I had the same job, the same wife, the same dog,
mm,
and nothing had changed. So I decided there was a problem. And
mm.
I think one of the problems is speakers love to diagnose or they like to prescribe before they diagnose. So what they're saying isn't wrong, but it
Mm,
doesn't fit everyone in the audience.
mm. Yeah, like take a Tylenol and walk it off.
Yes. Like, can
Doesn't
you
matter what you
imagine?
have.
There you go. Like, can you imagine if I was sitting in a pregnancy seminar? It just wouldn't go well.
That leads to beautiful something else that you have written in the book: the being, the doing, and the having. Now,
Yes.
I want to slow this down because this one is one of those ideas that sounds so simple, but once it lands, it can really annoy the hell out of you in the best possible way yet. Because a lot of us are trained to think, when I have that thing, then I'll do this thing,
Hmm.
or then I'll become this person. When I
Hmm.
have the money, I'll start the business. When I have the
Hmm.
confidence, I will put myself out there. When I
Hmm.
have the perfect plan, then I'll take action. And then, of course, nothing changes. So
Our
thank you for
culture
not.
has it precisely backward.
Mm,
And if you're watching a movie, it works, but
yes.
that's a movie.
That's a movie,
So,
fiction.
so the key is to be. Most people, a lot of coaches, they tell people to help them with the doing and say, do, they do, they do, they do.
Do more,
And I
do
know this
more. Yeah.
amazing author named Summer that helps people in the doing. She's
In the
good at
doing,
that.
yes.
That's another story. But
I'm
the
a get
neat,
doer.
there you go. But the neat thing is the doing doesn't actually change who they're being. So it
Yes.
always seems artificial. It always seems like a put on. It always leaves you on a hamster wheel. So you
Mm,
got to be first,
mm,
then you do, and
mm,
then you have. With
mm.
our ability not to postpone gratification, we all want to have it now. The
Yes.
newer car, the bigger boat, the bigger house, the trophy wife, but we don't realize what we have to become to get there.
Did you have to become? I'm asking because you have a trophy wife.
You met her, yes. Actually, I got very, very lucky. My wife and I have been married 40 years, and
Uh-huh.
she says it was the best 8 years of her life.
I've heard that one before, not from her though. But I should say it's a little rude of you to say having is the fun part, right? So it's rude of you to say having comes last. We all want the results, the recognition. We want a calm nervous system, a big bank account, a standing ovation, and for me personally, jeans that fits the way it did in 2014. But
You know
you're
something?
making us start with being.
I'm 64 years old and I still can't buy a pair of pants without suspenders without risking a wardrobe malfunction. So it still scares me. So
Oh
I
no.
feel your pain, Summer. I feel your pain.
We're bringing it back to the book. It also follows different people, or your book. It follows different people throughout, looking at them through their real roadblocks. You
Yes.
introduced us to people like Connor,
Yep.
Susie,
Yep. Phil.
Rick and Phil.
Yes.
Okay. So what I learned, what I liked is that they do feel like perfect case studies. They feel like people we might know. Like we all know at least one Susie somewhere, right? So people in your book, they are like real people who are dealing with things like self-doubt, career questions, life changes, and that uncomfortable feeling of knowing that life is nudging them somewhere. They don't know
Mhm.
what to do with the nudge. So when you follow everyday people like these people through major roadblocks, which of these real life turnarounds surprise you the most?
Well, the neat thing is,
Hmm.
you and I are both in Canada.
Hmm.
And one thing that I have seen, we live next to a culture that's very much a cowboy culture that's all about, the Midwest, shoot 'em up, we're going to make it happen. And
Hmm.
Canadians tend to be comfortably unhappy.
Hmm.
And that was what I was trying to
Hmm.
break. You ask
Hmm.
people how they're doing, they oh, fine, fine,
Yeah,
fine. Fine
I'm
is a
great.
hair thickness. It's not a lifestyle. So I
Hmm.
wanted to get them beyond comfortably unhappy. So you have to pick at their pain points a little bit to find, well, okay, if you wanted to be happier and you think you know what is it? And
Hmm.
then deciding for them to do something about it. And you mentioned burning the house down. The people think that they have to quit their job, leave their wife, all those big burn the house down things, when
Hmm.
they may only need to do send away for a syllabus for a course,
Hmm. Hmm.
read one book about online marketing, whatever it
Hmm.
is. It's very much in the tangible. It's what are
Hmm.
you doing today about it,
Hmm.
and that is why one thing that I like about this book is you need to read it twice.
Yes.
You read it once in 3 hours on a
Hmm.
boring Sunday,
Hmm.
and then you pour back into what it taught because each chapter has questions of what
Yes.
Rick and Connor and Susie are facing and what, yes, thank you. And then we ask, well, what are you facing? And we've left it with nice big spaces so you're writing in the workbook. And
Hmm.
that's done for two reasons. One,
Hmm.
so you'll make it yours. And two, once your words are in it, you're never going to throw this book away. So we got
Hmm.
that for you. This is in your library till you die.
Yes, I read that within a couple of hours, one sitting, and then I bookmarked a few things. Right now, I have only one bookmark on it, but I had sticky little things. These are the things I wanted to go back on. And sometimes there are things that has just the inspiration I need. Inspiration ignites the flame, but a clear plan turns that spark into a steady fire.
Ooh,
This is
yes.
something I read when I needed to read it very badly. That's exactly the time I needed to read it very badly. One thing I loved is you never said in the book, neither did Matt, that just try harder. That matters a big deal because a lot of us are exhausted. Some of us are confused. We overthink. We try to solve the wrong problem. But you emphasize that the one thing standing between someone and their next breakthrough is a single decision. That
Yep.
moved me a lot. So, for somebody watching this video right now, imagine they're completely stuck. What is the first decision that they need to make today?
Well, the first thing that they always have to do is start to doodle. You get a
Start to
paper,
do.
no, doodle.
Doodle. Okay, yes.
So you get us some paper. I like 11 by 17 because you don't need to go in a craft store. You can get in any stationery shop, but it's a little
Hmm.
bit bigger than 8.5 by 11. And then
Okay.
you just put right in the middle about where you are. And then you just start scribbling or mind mapping about what could be different. Yes,
Like
there's
that.
a, yes, this woman has a notebook. And
Yes.
then you have to suspend disbelief for a moment of living in the possible.
Yeah.
And you don't go, oh, I can't do that. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too whatever. I'm too broke. You decide if it was possible, what would it look like?
Hmm.
And then you try then to
Hmm.
live in the possible with one small idea.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, you live in the present and think possible and doodle all you want before you get the final clarity on what you want to do.
Correct. But
Beautiful.
then
Why? Yeah. Hmm.
after the doodle,
Hmm.
you take action on at least one thing, or you're just doodling.
Yeah. Just doodling and not doing anything is not going to take you anywhere. Early in the morning, I take my pen and my paper and I start doodling. So how far have you come somewhere in 3 months? I doodle 300 times. Why did you choose cafe setting for this book? What does that, is it the environment that allowed you to show about coaching, conversation change? Why cafe?
Well, the neat thing is, my publisher weren't good artists. So
Okay.
we actually had a picture of a coffee shop.
Hmm.
So we imagined just having a cup of coffee. I've been having coffee with you, Summer, and we
Hmm.
all know that people want to change but don't know how to. So
Hmm.
we imagined a low stress, low pressure, low cost environment
Hmm.
where $3 an hour and you're at least telling somebody something about something. And that's
Right.
why we made this an imaginary coffee shop.
Beautiful. I wouldn't want to think of it as an imaginary one because every time I read the book, it was crystal clear to me. I pictured the cafe that we have in town, which is a mom and pop owned, and I even imagined one particular table where you sat with Connor or Susie. So
People,
that
I
became
had
very
20
real.
people actually said, I'm looking for the coffee shop. Where is it? Where is Freshly Brewed? And I said, it's in my imagination. But, but
It
you're
could be a
right.
local McDonald's, right?
Yes. But we've all been in that coffee shop.
Hmm.
And so yes, but no, there is no place in Kingston where you could
Hmm.
walk in. You might be inspired by, but you can't walk in and meet Connor other than
Hmm.
in my head or the book or buying the book.
Some of us, fun part about owning books, a lot of us, we love to own books, right? And we use personal growth books as decor for the coffee table. Beautiful stack on the nightstand, very inspiring, completely untouched. Those books sit there and judge us quietly while we scroll on our phones. But for people that purchase your book, how do you want them to read it? Should they
Well,
just straight through, pause and reflect? I know there's a journal at the
first,
end of every
people
chapter.
have personalities.
Yes.
People have their own individual wiring.
Hmm.
But what I think is the best is read it as a novel first.
Hmm.
You're at the cottage, you've got 2 hours to spend. Read it like a novel. Don't try to get better. Just
Hmm.
read it like it was a murder mystery.
Hmm. Okay.
And then go back and go, I see that.
Hmm.
I see that. I
Hmm.
see that. So we've all bought business books that we've never even cracked a spine on because they seem so inspiring when we bought them. And then
Yeah.
that's 300 pages. So the key
Like
first,
mine.
so the key first for me is read it like a novel and then decide if you see yourself in one of those characters.
Hmm.
And we tried to make the demographic wide enough that somebody could you see somebody, whether it's a
Hmm.
bank manager, an electrician, an electronic store owner, a clothier. By the way, the
Hmm.
clothier was based on a real guy in my town. He really did
Okay.
exist.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. But
Hmm.
so, but the other thing that I wanted to mention is if you wanted to get a job and you got through high school
Hmm.
and you got to 20
Hmm.
and you read a newspaper, remember those things called newspapers?
Yeah, I still see them every now and then.
You decided based on a bad ad of what you could do to get that job. And then all of a sudden you got stuck there.
Hmm.
And you only looked at learning that was about that job. And that means that you are comfortably unhappy. So that's why the
Hmm.
whole theory is that you should always be growing, lifelong
Hmm.
learning,
Yes.
always be curious,
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
curious.
Hmm. Be an eternal learner. Once you
Yes,
stop learning, your life is over. You are still breathing, but you're not living.
correct.
Eternal
Although,
learner is what I've been taught to be, like all my life. And I want to add how I read the book. So I read it in a couple of hours in one sitting, and then I went through the journal that you have at the end of every page. And I don't like to write in books, in books. So you'll see everything blank in here. But if you see my notebook, I did doodle. And then instead of writing it in the physical notebook, I typed it out on Word, threw it into ChatGPT to give me more clarity on what else I want. And that has helped me a lot. Before I let you go, Wayne, What do you hope readers feel and think and do after they finish the final page of your book?
Buy my course. No, that's actually a
Yes.
joke. It's actually a joke.
But
I
I would
want to
highly
take one.
recommend it.
I want to talk one thing that why I wrote the book
Hmm.
is that most people are afraid of being stupid or doing wrong or
Coming
making a
across as
big
stupid. Yeah.
mistake.
Hmm.
You know, I bought that course and it turned out to be a cult. Next thing I know, I'm in a AFRAM and anyway. But for $30, if you bought it and didn't like it, your life goes on. So I
Yes.
wanted to mention that's the one thing I like the most about it is you
Hmm.
get to think, you get to open your mind, and then decide how much is for you. But
Yeah.
here's the thing I would like from the book. You read it and decide you can relate to one or more of the characters,
Hmm.
and then start either on in the book or on a separate journal.
Hmm.
What could I change? What
Hmm.
little incremental thing could I change that
Hmm.
where I am become where I want to be? Now,
Hmm.
the neat thing is, I'll talk about my clothier because he's kind of my hero.
Hmm.
He inherited the business from his father in the book.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the joke is, he always wanted to be a computer guy. But his father got sick and he worked in the
Hmm.
store, and so he just did it. But ironically enough, he never gave up begrudging the store. He knew how to measure
Hmm.
the coat, he knew how to measure the jacket, he knew how to upsell, but he always begrudged not being a great
A
online
computer
guru.
guy.
So
Hmm.
we made him sell online shirts in our book where he found a wrinkle, a tweak, where he used his wish, his passion, his zeal to do where he already had credibility without closing the business, leaving the wife, or burning the house down. And so that's why he's my hero.
What lesson should people take from that story?
That they can always do something 3% different. There are many people,
3% different.
Simon Sinek, there's all kinds. Do something 3% different.
Hmm.
What knowing what you know now,
Hmm.
what don't you know now that by
Hmm.
learning could change where you are?
Hmm. Hmm. James
We're
Clear
not.
says 1%.
I've heard one, I've heard three, but always.
Hmm.
Now the neat thing is mathematics is powerful.
Yeah.
Addition doesn't change much.
Hmm.
1 plus 1 plus
It's
1.
always 2.
Well,
It's
yeah.
now it's 3. Okay.
Okay. But the neat thing is when you start using multiplication
Hmm.
and 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, all of a sudden the number becomes huge. So I want people to multiply, not add. But the other thing that I really want to, why I wrote the book, is so I can be a superhero in my own novel.
Well, you are. Novel or not, you are.
But the neat thing is some of the readers that met Wayne Pratt in the book actually like him better than me because he's more impressive.
I would like to argue that you're impressive in the book as well as in person.
You're
So,
good.
one
You're
thing, the
kind to me.
final thing that I took away is 10x your business, not 10 plus 10.
I like that.
Yes, that's a wonderful place for to leave people. And I
Yep.
think anyone watching it who has been stuck can take that as an invitation not
Yep.
to change everything overnight, not to change your wife or change your dog or sell your house or burn down your house, but to begin with just one honest decision.
Thank you.
So,
That was the
Wayne,
goal.
yes, that's a goal. That should be the goal in life too. Thank you so much for joining me on Bookmas and for sharing the heart behind Freshly Brewed Coaching. And to everyone watching, I also have recorded my Bookmas verdict on this book. My Bookmas verdict on this book, where I share my personal take, what stood out to me, and who I think this book is really for. You'll find that link in the description below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like this video in support of Wayne and Matt and their book. It really does help more readers discover these author conversations and this wonderful author and this beautiful book. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because we have more Bookmas interviews coming your way, more authors, more ideas, and books that might feel just right for you at this exact right moment. Wayne, you are a super duper person. You're impressive in person as well as in the book. And You guys, until then, grab your coffee, ask yourself the honest question, and maybe make that one decision you already know is waiting for you.
Thank you, Summer.
Thank you, Wayne.